And we are live. I'm going to be final video in a series that I've done on the topic of old school game. And this is it. So I'm a little bit emotional. This is going to be a video that's going to be containing the information that I believe should be kept a secret. And the reason that I believe it should be kept a secret is because it is so fucking inflammatory. It's going to piss off so many people. And frankly, I believe that this information was deliberately suppressed. And I'm going to explain why in this video, most likely. So what I'm going to be showing you in this video is the keys to the fucking kingdom. And this video will be up a couple days and it will be gone. I will provide you with specific and step-by-step instructions. I want you to do exactly what I fucking say for a minimum of 3 days. Okay, I'm asking for 3 days of your time. I don't want to hear any fucking bullshit about how you have an opinion that's different that's in this video unless you will couple it with, I tried this for 3 straight days and here's what happened, in which case I can give you a response and I can show you how to tweak it, okay? So I'm going to show you something that you have to go and test in order to understand. Now, the reason why this video is going to piss you off is because what I'm going to suggest is that 99% of what you put your thoughts, words, and actions to in your life has been complete and utter bullshit. It has basically been an elaborate compensation. It has been compensatory. It's been just pure cope. And there's a whole other world as far as dating goes under the surface that you don't understand. And when I reveal this to you, your entire life is going to change very, very dramatically. What I would also like to comment on in this video, and I may or may not, I'm going to see kind of how much juice I have in the tank here, but what I'll most likely also comment on is why it is that many of the different ideas about dating have come about and the reason why this information has been suppressed. But what I'm going to show you in this video is so insane. It is so fucking hardcore. It is so over the top and bizarre that this video is going to blow your fucking mind. Now, if you like what's in this video, by the way, if you like it and you like old school game content, if you enjoyed the old school Hot Seat at Home, our best program ever, and you want to see the latest updated infield, which will be the last infield I'll ever release, it's right in here. www.owenslastgameprogram.com. This is coming down in a couple days. All of these videos will be down in a couple days and will be like these videos never existed, like this program never existed. I'm not going to be talking about this again in the future. I've got very, very big plans that I'm working on. So these are videos that I'm leaving purely for posterity. I left this for you for posterity because a lot of people want to see an updated version of the hot seat. So I've left this for you for posterity. I would urge you to get in here. What you will find inside this program is going to blow your fucking mind. You'll see a lot of infield examples inside here. Took us months and months to prepare this. Get inside this program right now. It will come down. It is free. I know what the hot seat. What I would do is I would release that. I take it away for a bit and release it. We are finished, okay? And I know that you probably think, oh, he'll keep teaching pickup or whatever. When you're seeing me go as hardcore as I'm going to today, you know that this is done, all right? So if you want to get a little piece of that, hop right in there right now, www.owenslastgameprogram.com. Get in there and enjoy. Likewise, actually in 24 hours, I'm going to be shooting over to Las Vegas to do a free event. 1 week after, I'll be in Phoenix, San Diego, San Francisco, Miami, and Orlando. And then we'll be hitting up cities like LA, New York, DC, Boston, Philadelphia, Seattle, Portland, Atlanta, Charlotte, Nashville. That'll be one final free tour that I'm doing, and then I'm going to be doing a podcast, okay? So I'm completely moving on from this content, and I'm going to be doing a podcast. And this today, right now, is probably the last video that you'll see from me. If I can squeeze out another one before I leave to Vegas, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll dig up like an old school pickup video or something from my archive and post it before New Year's. But going into 2024, I'm finished with this. Got a lot more cool things coming. But if you love old school game, again, hop in right now, owenslastgameprogram.com. By the way, it's also the morning here. It's about 6 a.m. The sun's coming up, so it's going to completely throw off the cameras. So partway through, as you can see out there, it's very beautiful. The sun's going to rise, but that's going to get blown out. It's going to be very, very white. I'm doing this very, very late because I'm preparing for the big event this weekend. So I'll probably pause the video partway through and we'll go adjust the lighting. I'm actually headed off to go do an infield training. Also, if you want to do an old school type infield training with me, go to my Instagram, RSD Tyler. Go to my Instagram and shoot me a DM if you're serious about it. That's if you want to get into one of the old school trainings where I hit the field with you. And that is just for the people. And if this is you, if it's on your bucket list to hit the field with me before you die, make sure that you hop in there as well because I'm cutting those off as well. Okay, so make sure that you do that. Now let's go to today's video. Okay, so here's what I thought I would lead into it with. There's a movie out right now called Napoleon. You might have seen this. And in the movie, what you see is this concept of Napoleon, who is very much the high value guy. And this high value guy concept, which is running around all over the internet right now, is all the rage, this high value guy. In my view, the movie that shows the result of that, the actual end outcome of that, the best is Napoleon. And what you'll see in the movie Napoleon, it's directed by Ridley Scott, has Joaquin Phoenix, is playing Napoleon, and he sees the girl that is going to become the love of his life. And this is a woman who's really into her emotions, and she's very present, and she's very sexual. And so Napoleon sees her, and he's attracted to her, but Napoleon is this high value guy. And what I'm going to be explaining to you in this video is that the high value guy concept is largely fucking bullshit as far as getting laid. And it's basically the ceiling of a certain paradigm. It makes you basically the king of the betas. And so Napoleon, in effect, is the king of the betas. What does that mean that Napoleon is the king of the betas? Basically, the way that women interpret it is that anything that you do to compensate whatsoever puts you in a very, very specific category, which is the beta male category. And the way that you want to think about this is that in society, you have the people who built the world and then the people who live in the world, okay? The people that built the world and the people who live in the world. So if in any way, shape, or form, you're somebody who needs to build the world at all, and you're not the person who's just living in the world, then they view you in some capacity as this kind of beta male. And then if you're someone like Napoleon or some major business leader, then they view you as a high level beta. But you're still a beta because you had to compensate. So I want you to imagine, and this is just a thought experiment, okay? This is just a thought experiment. And maybe this is wrong. But what I want you to imagine is that most of what it is that you're learning about, 6 feet, 6 figures, 6-pack, all that kind of stuff, is basically within a paradigm of the king of the betas. That's a high-level beta male. And so who is it that actually winds up hooking up with all the girls? The guy that winds up hooking up with all the girls, think of it as instead of somebody who's a billionaire or instead of somebody who is, some leader of industry or a king or something like that, it's basically just this guy whose role is to repopulate the tribe. Is this technically true or not? I have no idea. I'm not an evolutionary psychologist. I'm not an evolutionary scientist. I couldn't tell you. But as a thought experiment, I want you to imagine that the entire world has been built by these kind of servants, okay? And then there's like a couple guys, and those are the guys whose job it is to actually repopulate the tribe. And basically what happens, I want you to imagine that as the girls are, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, their goal is to get pregnant by those guys and then to have the highest level beta male possible raise that guy's kids. But the first kid and even maybe the second kid gets given to that guy. Okay, so it's kind of like back in the day when you had a king and then the king would demand to impregnate all the women or get the firstborn son or daughter in the tribe. Well, basically that dynamic, I want you to imagine as if that already exists, but it's somebody who actually is just like the chosen one who basically just like hooks up with all the girls. And when the hooking up happens, it happens very, very quick. Obviously, always with consent, always win-win. You always have to have consent and win-win. Anybody who doesn't have consent is a piece of shit who should just be ostracized from society. So always make sure that you have consent. But I want you to imagine where it's like there's very, very specific behavioral traits that basically make you that guy who reproduces with all the girls. And everything else that you see, whether it's getting in shape, whether it's making money, whether it's building an entire empire, is all done out of compensation to be the king of the betas. And so what is it specifically that you're looking to do to signal yourself as somebody who just lives within the society and is basically just, your only job is as the reproducer? Okay, so that's the kind of question that I'm gonna get you to ask yourself. Now, this is gonna piss a lot of people off, but I would ask you a question. Imagine if, I would ask you a question right now. Imagine if I had got to be able to continue just creating real life interaction footage for you. Do you remember how much of that I used to post? Can you imagine if I had had the opportunity to keep posting and posting and posting and posting, showing example after example after example? Now you saw how much momentum that we were building up for about a decade back in the day till about 2018. Can you imagine if ever since 2019, so 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, imagine, and you know that every year I get better. So imagine with my improvement in skill set and my ability to record, if we had been putting this out and putting this out and putting this out and putting this out. Now imagine if right now, the various different men's dating gurus who you know Maybe they had a podcast, maybe they had a video channel. Imagine if it was like back in the day where people would have just said, hey, why are we talking about this all the time? Why don't you just post it? Show us an example. Like, hey, we don't need to hear you describe this for 3 hours in a podcast or in a video. Just, a picture's worth 1,000 words. A little bit of infield footage is worth 1 minute of infield footage is worth more than 3 hours of talking about it. You realize that, right? Again, that's why you should www.owens. Hey, there you go. www.owenslastgameprogram.com. That's why you should hop in there. But you all know it. You all know that 1 minute of infield footage is worth more than 5 hours of talking about it. So imagine what the world would have looked like as far as dating gurus if they had actually had their feet held to the fire. Imagine how many of them wouldn't even have a job right now. Imagine how many, most of them, would not be able to get away with saying, be the high value guy, because they wouldn't be able to show infield footage of themselves doing it, right? The best that they could show is that they bought a table and they're sitting there bopping their head at a table or something like that. But they wouldn't actually be able to show themselves actually going up and doing, or creating attraction. They wouldn't be able to show it because they don't have the skill set to do that. So as a result of this, because we were not able to continue to post infield, a lot of misconceptions have happened because there's no accountability anymore. So you can remember back in the day when RSD was doing it, there actually wasn't really very many dating gurus. We were having hundreds of thousands of views, if not millions of views per video. And the reason why you just didn't see a lot of other successful dating companies was because anybody who decided to throw their hat in the ring, people would say, hey, why don't you just show us examples of it? And they're like, and then they would just give up and they would go away because everybody knew that infield footage is worth 1,000 words. So what I would say to you is this. I would like you to analyze, very, very simply analyze, why is it that so many of these insane misconceptions exist right now? And, oh, by the way, John, could you go upstairs? John, yeah. Hop up, my man. I'm going to get a little bit of help here, guys, as I keep talking. John, hop up. Go upstairs and then just tell our friend to, we have a friend who's upstairs right now who's snoring, so he's going to go up and handle that. Anyway, so this is actually live. So, and he's also going to handle the lighting in a minute too, okay? But I want you to imagine right now, again, think about the shift in culture that created. Well, why is it that happened, okay? Why is it that happened? It's a little bit weird to think about, but what I would explain to you is this. One example that I would give you is I have friends that have been inside the White House. And these are great friends of mine, okay? My friends that have been on the White House, that have been within the White House, are not able to post their political opinions. They can't do it. And the reason why they can't post their political opinions is because they would be removed. So as a result of that, you have guys who I like a lot that I think are cool, like say, for example, Ben Shapiro. And you look at Ben Shapiro, or maybe you look at, again, another guy I like a lot would be, say, Jordan Peterson. But you look at like a Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson, and they tell you, there's not more than one gender, or you've got to clean your room, and they say things like that. And then you think that you have a very deep level understanding of conservatism because you heard about how there's only 2 genders and you heard about how you should just clean your room. Now, the people who I know that have been inside the White House, if I was to do an interview with them and I had them right here, you wouldn't be able to sleep for a month. You would go to bed, you would be lying in your bed crying, screaming, and reconsidering your entire life, okay? You would be in bed crying, screaming, and reconsidering your entire life. Everything that you would understand about life would be thrown on its head. But that will never be able to be posted. And as a result of that, there's a fake version of conservative politics, okay? So somebody's like, well, let me look into conservatism. What do they have to say? Well, there's this one guy who says that there's only 2 genders, and then there's this other guy that says to clean your room. I get it now. I get it now. And what's going to happen is that when I go away, okay, when the cat is away, the mice will play. I've already largely gone away. But when I fully go away, what you're going to see is that there's going to be a lot of different ideologies that are out there that are a fake version of men's dating. It's a fake version. Or rather than being a fake version, it's an unwitting controlled opposition. So they're not hired controlled opposition, but they are unwittingly providing controlled opposition because what they're doing is they are being platformed and their ideas are being platformed, and they're able to do that because they don't post infield. And then as a result of that, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then what happens is that you get a false version of what men's dating actually is. And this is going to go on and on and on. And I can sort of like catch a video here that might have 20, 30K views or something like that, but these videos will do millions upon millions of views. And the worst part is there's really good information in them. Like there's men's self-improvement. Go out there and get jacked. Like that's a great message. You should definitely hit the gym. Go out and make a lot of money. What a great message. You should definitely go out and make a lot of money. Be an alpha male. Of course, be an alpha male. Like all great messages. These are really, really good messages. But at the end of the day, watch the movie Napoleon. How Napoleon is like the king of an empire, but he's still being cheated on. That's going to be you. You're going to wind up like that. These guys are not able to do cold approach. They're just not. They don't have the skill set to do it, and they'll come up with a million different excuses for that. Some men's influencers will say things like, oh, I'm not going to walk around the mall doing day game because that's a waste of time. Instead, I'm going to be a billionaire. Other guys will say that it can only be done via social networking, even though I love social networking. We do parties here all the time. I love all that stuff. But you can also meet someone when you're out. Like, come on. And you're going to see people that will say things like, I just find that when I'm even that much more jack, I get more girls. And it's just going to be this endless stream of things that you're going to see, which are ignoring the reality that these are not guys who are capable of doing cold approach. So maybe what they're doing, and I think even potentially what they're doing, is working well if they're doing maybe online dating, or if they're maybe meeting people through friends or things like that. But if you want to learn to become somebody where everywhere that you go, always with consent is everything, but hooking up is happening all the time, okay? That means that when you go to a restaurant, the waitress there is attracted to you and thinking of hooking up with you in the closet. That means that when you go to cryotherapy, right? Like the girl, the nurse that's administering to you cryotherapy is thinking of cheating on her husband. That means that when you're a doctor and you get a blood test, the female doctor giving you the blood test is licking her lips and thinking of hooking up with you. That means that when you go to the bank teller is getting aroused, okay? This is this sort of ongoing thing that will be your whole life. You will have problems like your friends' wives trying to hook up with you. It will become a problem. And the only way that you'll learn to deal with it is you're gonna have to put the same amount of time that you put into learning how to do this, you're gonna have to learn how to unwire it and fake it by acting like a beta male in front of the girls that you're trying to prevent from getting attracted. So when you're around your friend's wife, you're gonna go, hi, good to meet you. And you're gonna try to do things that actively turn her off. You're gonna go, how's it go? Like, hi there, how's it going? Yeah, that's cool. And it's gonna become an actual problem for you that women are throwing themselves at you all the time. It's gonna become an active problem. You're gonna have problems like, if you have Instagram, you're gonna have husbands of a lot of these girls and you didn't know she's married, and they're gonna be blowing up your phone, or they're gonna be calling your staff saying, where is he? He hooked up with my wife. And you're like, I didn't know, bro. And like this will just become this ongoing thing, okay? So that's what's gonna happen when you do the things that I'm showing you. And I'm only leaving this video up for a couple days. I'm not teaching this stuff anymore. I have no dog in this fight. I don't care. It's not a hill that I want to die on. I have a lot of other more important messages that I want to share than just basically telling you that you could just run around fucking all the time. Okay, so I have a lot more important messages that I want to share. But what I want to tell you is that if you don't have the results that you want in dating right now, it's largely because you don't have the right paradigm. And if you can actually follow this paradigm, in my personal experience, the experience of many, many people who I've worked with, your results are going to change very, very, very dramatically. Okay, so the way that you've got to think about this, again, is stop trying to be the high value guy. Instead, what you are is you're this guy who basically is like your job in society isn't to build anything. Your job in society is basically to provide the DNA material for the entire tribe. Okay? That's how you have to think about it, okay? And then you've got to start saying to yourself, what does it mean to represent yourself as the guy who provides the DNA for the entire tribe? Now, this is where it gets incredibly, incredibly, incredibly complicated, okay? And here's why it gets complicated. This is very, very, very complicated, what I'm gonna explain to you. I don't like any of this. I hate a lot of this stuff. I'm somebody who's naturally, just the way my psychology works, very, very conservative. If I hadn't seen the things that I had seen, I would believe in old school marriage. When I was younger, I wanted to be a virgin. I wanted to meet another girl who was a virgin. I wanted to get married at the church. I believe in this stuff. I love this stuff, okay? I'm also not a believer that it really serves society to run around fucking everybody. I don't really believe that that serves society either. So these aren't really things that I'm again, this isn't really a message that I'm here to push or that I think really even adds value to anything. There's so many other things that I want to do with my life and contributions that I want to make, other than basically just showing you some weird loophole where you could just go hook up with everybody. Does that make sense? There's other things that I care about. And hopefully, God willing, you're going to see me go and fight those fights and fight those battles and try to help your life in different ways. But the reason why I'm trying to explain this to you is because I believe in families and I believe in monogamous relationships, but I believe that if you don't understand this stuff at its core, you're likely to have very, very serious problems within your family. You're likely to have very, very serious problems within your relationship. And you're also likely to have a hard time even finding a relationship. And the reason why is because one thing I think that the red pill definitely does get right, and they describe this incredibly well, although their solution to it, I believe, has some area for improvement, but I think that they describe what's going on incredibly well, better than I ever did even. But there's this element where a lot of what's going on in society right now is that girls, and I think there's a lot of good aspects of this, but women are making oftentimes more money than men, getting into college more than men. There's things like Bumble or Tinder that give very, very easy access to sex. And so imagine that you're a woman, and imagine that you're 23 years old. You're already making enough money to live very, very comfortably. Why would you go? And here's the other key piece. Women obviously don't want to share, but if you look at a Drake concert where 90% of the women at that Drake concert are all worshiping the same guy, and if Drake invites 30 of them backstage, I would predict about 28 of them are going to go, okay, including many that have boyfriends. So, if you had a woman, like if there was a female singer, and she was like, you could all have sex with me backstage, and like you had to rub your dick inside other men's semen in order to have sex with like Taylor Swift or something, I'm pretty sure that you'd find that to be disgusting. But you'll find that guys like Drake or Leo DiCaprio don't exactly have that problem. Dan Bilzerian does not exactly have that problem. I have a lot of friends that hang out with Dan Bilzerian. Some ex-girlfriends of mine that I'm still friends with have hung out quite a lot with Dan Bilzerian. And they tell me the stories. Dan literally just sits there and he'll have sex with about 2/3 of the girls that he brings out. And it's in threesomes, foursomes, fivesomes, moresomes. None of them are mad about it. It's not really a big deal. And I've done my own kind of poor man's version that's still pretty damn good. But obviously I don't have the same resources as Dan, but I've done it to a pretty damn high level, okay? Dan is like that version on steroids with all the social media and all that kind of stuff, but I've done it to a pretty damn high level. So what I'm trying to basically show you here is I'm trying to show you something that I don't even agree with or that I even think is a really positive contribution to society. But if you don't understand it, you're going to get fucked over in this fucked up dynamic, okay? So the fucked up dynamic is that the girls that you're going to meet they're going to have really good jobs. They're not going to need you, and they're going to be hooking up, most of them with kind of like the same guy, like the same 1% of guys that they want to hook up with. They're mostly all hooking up with the same guy. And then what's going to wind up happening is that you kind of wait around until there may be, it used to be late 20s, but now it's late 30s or even early 40s. And then you get to swoop in there, give her half your belongings, and have a kid with her, okay? And that's what's going on. And that's not a fair deal for guys. That's simply not a fair deal. It's just really not. And so as a guy, but not only that, like you may not even get that in this day and age, okay? So, and then the other problem with it is, and you have to understand, I'm seeing this from a different side. Imagine the side of this that I'm seeing all this from, okay? Imagine what it is that I'm seeing and experiencing, okay? Think about this for a minute. Imagine if you're me, just the sheer volume of infidelity that I've seen, okay? Imagine how much infidelity I've seen. I've been on the receiving end of it because I've been cheated on, but also imagine the sheer amount of infidelity that I'm seeing. So imagine how many thousands of times that I've been out to nightclubs and made out with girls with their boyfriend right there and I didn't know. The guys are sitting right there. Imagine the I throw parties here. There's girls that I've hooked up with that bring their boyfriends to my parties later, and their boyfriends thank me and give me gifts, because I just let them come to the party. But it's like he doesn't know what happened, and like in the girl's mind, she doesn't even think that I would make a big deal about it or that it's even an unusual thing. And the problem is that whenever I talk about this dynamic, everybody has this same way to protect themselves from what it is that I'm saying. And here's how they protect themselves. they say, well, you live in Hollywood, you live in LA, you go out to nightclubs. Now, let's ignore the fact that I just spent 280 days a year in nature for the past half decade. So I was in small towns in Oregon, small towns in Wyoming, small towns in Montana, small towns in Washington State, small towns in Arizona, small towns in New Mexico, small towns in Texas. I spent time in Savannah, Georgia. I spent time in St. Augustine. I spent time in Carolina. So I spent more time in small ho-hum cities than almost anybody who you know. I've traveled a lot throughout the world. I grew up in Canada. I go to libraries here. I go to yoga parks. I go to the beach. I meet people in the daytime, the nighttime. I meet people of all different shapes and sizes and all sorts of different backgrounds. There is no difference whatsoever in the behavior that I'm talking about. There is none. So when people talk about a quality woman, at best what that means is someone without a drug problem and someone without cluster B personality disorders, okay? That's basically what I call a quality woman. She doesn't have a major drug problem, doesn't have a major drinking problem, doesn't have a cluster B personality disorder, doesn't have, heavy amounts of trauma, perhaps has a high IQ, although having a high IQ has no correlation with infidelity. Girls with high IQ will do that just as much. This is happening all the time, okay? And to be honest with you, had I been able to continue posting infield, I probably, just to alert guys to it, would have posted example after example after example after example after example after example after example. The amount that I've seen is off the charts. It's insane. And so if you don't understand what this is, you are fucked, okay? You are fucked. And even with everything that I know about it, I've had really bad situations that surprised me. Okay, so just to be aware of that, and be aware that it's basically like there's two different realities that people live inside, okay? So as long as you are trying to be the high value guy, you're still within the paradigm that you have to do something in order to get laid, okay? You have to do something in order to get laid. You have to add something. There's something to yourself that you have to add. Now, what people who believe in that paradigm would tell you is they'd say, no, that's not true. Here's what I think they would say. They would say, I'm trying to show you not to be lazy. Don't be lazy. Go hit the gym. I'm trying to show you to be an alpha male. Go build your business. I'm trying to show you how not to just be some loser that bangs girls and lives on a couch. And I'm trying to show you a realistic portrayal of what women like, and to try to help you to bridge the gap. That's what they would tell you. Okay, something like that, some iteration of that. But unfortunately, what they're not showing you is that those guys still can't do a cold approach. So, or the vast majority of them, okay? So you have to understand that cold approach will show you the extent to which you understand attraction. It will reveal it. So you have to be able to, if someone says something about dating, they have to be able to go and show it. They have to be able to go, okay, well, look, watch this, I'll go do it. Look, nobody has a 100% success rate with cold approach, but in a given night, or at least in a given weekend or month, they have to be able to show some kind of a result in order to be taken seriously. Otherwise, what is the person actually saying? They're not really saying anything. Okay, so here's how I want you to think about this a little bit more. Somebody like Winston Churchill to a girl, beta male. Elon Musk can be an alpha male, but only because he smoked weed on Joe Rogan, okay? Only because he smoked weed on Joe Rogan. But had he not smoked weed on Joe Rogan and then partied with Steve Aoki, beta male. I've been parts of groups like EO, YPO, or the Summit Series, and I can tell you, I was around a lot of millionaires there, okay? So I've been in many of the top entrepreneurs groups as far as millionaires. All of them have very, very, as plain Jane of wives as you could ever imagine. Their wives are all completely and utterly plain Jane. So they didn't wind up making a gazillion dollars they wound up making a gazillion dollars, but they didn't wind up getting laid out of it. Making a bunch of money is not gonna get you laid. Likewise, guys that are jacked. I go out to nightclubs every single fucking night, and these guys are with women, and in 80% of cases, you know that I go walk up on guy-girl sets, I do it all the time, and 80% of cases, that girl is going to jump off that guy and onto me, and likewise, if I have students, those girls will jump off that guy and on the students. It doesn't matter how much weights that guy lifts in the gym, okay? So, at the end of the day, if you're a guru who is kind of like in the whole high value man thing, come and meet up with me. You'll notice, have I ever made a video talking bad, specifically and naming a name of another teacher? I've never talked about any other teacher, okay? And I never will. And I'm there to actually help people to get out the proper information. I regularly do phone calls with other teachers in dating to try to help them to get out better information. And I help them with their business, and I help them to make more money. And I never expect any credit for it, and I'm not asking for anything out of it. I just do it because I love this industry, okay? That's why I've tried to stick in here as long as I could for you. I love, love, love this industry because I believe it prevents men from killing themselves. And I also think it helps men to thrive. So, if you're another teacher and this stuff's confusing you and you're like, oh shit, if you're another teacher who doesn't even know how to do a cold approach, come and talk to me. If you're a bigger teacher, like you've got a big audience, I will do a courtesy one-on-one boot camp with you. I'll just take you out as a courtesy and I'll show you this stuff so that you can begin to see it so you can get out the best information, okay? I love this stuff. But I want to tell you, I've been a part of huge entrepreneurs groups. I've been a part, I go out all the time. These guys don't make $1 gazillion and get all these girls. These guys that are doing entrepreneurship are kings of the beta. They typically have a wife that's quite old. She's probably the most average looking girl that you've ever seen. And, hopefully she's a good quality woman and she gives them some great kids, right? And I think that's beautiful. I don't think that's a bad thing. But I would encourage you to look up the different entrepreneur teachers on Instagram. There's a lot of great ones that I follow that I think are really cool. Their wives are normal. They have a plain Jane wife. For a lot of them, the most exciting thing is getting a badass watch. They're like, I got a badass watch. That's kind of their little kind of living on the edge thing. They're like, ooh, look at this. I got a badass watch. But that's kind of it, okay? So please, please, please try to get out of that. Now, what is it that indicates that you're kind of in this secret club as the guy who hooks up with all the girls? It's something that I've been trying to sort of lead you into for the past several days. But what it basically is that men create the reality and women live within the reality. So I want you have to genuinely understand the way that a woman is thinking and feeling and experiencing reality. And all women are different, and you can't blanket stereotype every woman just like you can't blanket stereotype every man. But you can make, a general understanding of where a woman is coming from as opposed to say where a man is coming from. So when you're looking at another human being and they've grown their hair out and they've covered their face in makeup and they wear high heels and they wear these, they wear little skirts and they like crystals and they like things that are shiny and they like to dye their hair. And then whenever music comes on, they get all crazy and things like that. You'll never hear them fart. You'll never see them take a big shit, et cetera, et cetera. They're very emotional. They're different than you. They're experiencing reality different than you. And you've got to begin to go into your fucking head and you've got to understand where it is that they're coming from and what is it about them that is different from you, okay? You need to actually understand that. And what you'll really understand is what men and women bring to the table is very, very different. And it truly is, and the complementary differences that we have really are very, very, very beautiful. They really, really are. They're very, very, very beautiful. And the big one, which I've talked about and alluded to in this video series, is the fact that men are very uptight. We have very, very heavy energy. We have incredibly, incredibly heavy energy, and we're always trying to control everything, okay? So when you go out to a club, you probably don't know how to have fun. If anything, you find the club exhausting because you're so addicted to compensating that you can't be silly for even 5 minutes. Do you remember those old videos that I used to do with Luke where we would do seminars? And for many, many years, I would give very, very specific step-by-step instructions on pickup, right? You remember that? And then I kind of hit this other era. That was maybe my first, 10 years of my career. And then I kind of hit this other era. Maybe it was around 2016 it started, and it kind of ran maybe 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, where a lot of the videos that I had was kind of just me laughing a lot on stage, right? I'd be there with Luke and we'd be joking around, or I'd be laughing a lot on stage. And the reason that I did that specifically was because I understood that the stuff that we were teaching, as great as it was, and as accurate as it was kind of fucking bullshit relative to just laughing and having fun. And that's why what I tried to show on stage was me laughing and having fun. Now, a lot of men saw that and they said, I hate this. I want to go back to technical game. And so there was a lot of people who taught technical game, and I know these people, and many of them I was their mentor. And these guys have maybe 5% the skill set and results as the guys that actually have fun. But people that are addicted to being in heavy, heavy, heavy energy, they're so addicted to it, and they're so addicted to being a compensator. Now that basically what they do is they look for this kind of technical game thing as a way to avoid just having fun and letting go. So they are stuck in the control paradigm, whereas what I was trying to show you in those videos was the release paradigm. So what it would look like in those videos is it would appear as though I'm just kind of like out of control and I'm not getting to the point, when what I was trying to show is that that is what game is. The whole thing of game is not needing to get to the fucking point. The whole thing of sex, in and of itself, what is sex? Sex is not getting to the fucking point. That's the whole point, right? You're kissing and touching and rubbing and coming and sharing fluids and all that kind of stuff. It really is just pure joy and craziness in the moment. So when you see a girl and she's dyed her hair some bright crazy color and she's put all these crazy, paint all over her face and she's put on perfume and she's dancing and she's got on this crazy skirt and these crazy high heels and all that kind of stuff. And then where she's actually leading that to is a place where the two of you are, naked and screaming and yelling and coming and kissing and touching each other and all that kind of stuff. It's the ultimate version of getting out of that heavy energy and getting into the moment and really experiencing joy. It's experiencing the chaos nature, the joy, the fun of it, right? And so but the thing is that what men try to do is that men are very, very much caught up in this kind of weird compensatory reality. They're just caught up with compensating. And as a result of that, they're compensating. Then you get all these different, YouTube channels out now that tell you you're going to be a high value man. If you just keep compensating. Oh, those old pickup artist guys, they were fucking losers, They stopped making videos because their material was not as good as ours. And as a result of that, we have like the better material now. Yeah, you can't pick up a girl at a bar anymore because there's a guy with a Lambo on Instagram, and you could never talk to a girl at a bar anymore. That's just too hard. You have a limitation now. You need a big Instagram and a Lambo to talk to a woman now. You see what's going on here, right? And what that does is it feeds the addiction. It feeds the addiction of two things, two main addictions. One, it feeds the addiction to needing to be in control. But two, it feeds the addiction of deferring you getting present to the moment, deferring you experiencing joy, deferring you letting go. It's you refusing to let go. And this goes so much more than what you're even understanding here, okay? There's layers to this that you're not even beginning to understand, okay? There's secrets to the fucking universe that you're not understanding here, okay? You're not seeing. There's secrets to the goddamn fucking universe that you need to understand here, okay? What you think we are as human beings, we're not just what you think we are. There's deeper layers to us. And what women reveal to us, there's mysteries being revealed about the overarching, deeper meaning of the human experience via your interaction with women, okay? And understanding man to woman, female polarity. There's huge amounts of revelatory information being given to you. So while you're sitting there in your need to control, deferring being happy, deferring being present, deferring letting go, and you're sitting there in this kind of state, you don't realize that you're spiritually fucking enslaved. And what the women are doing is, and they don't even know that they're doing this, and there's better version of women and toxic version of women, just like there's better version of men and toxic version of men. But what women are trying to encourage you to do is to realize your infinite nature. They don't know they're doing it, okay? They might be sitting there twerking a fucking Cardi B and doing a line of coke, okay? But the good version of women, what you don't understand, is they're encouraging you to understand your infinite nature, which is that there is no point to fucking anything, guys. There's no fucking ultimate point to anything. Existence and creation and the joy of the dance is the only point. For every dumb motherfucker that tells you, oh, getting laid is empty, well then tell me, sir or ma'am, what is this other thing other than getting laid? I have many hobbies other than getting laid, but what is the specific hobby or specific pursuit that you would give me that would be more powerful or important than me having sex? And the reason that I say that is because there's two different versions of having sex. One version of having sex is that you're an egomaniac needing to control things and that you need to get more and more validation to fill an empty bucket. But another version of having sex is a recognition that there's no ultimate meaning for anything, okay? And I'm someone who believes in God, and I believe that ultimate meaning is found in God. But what God is showing us, and what our spiritual side understands in our infinite nature, is the beautiful joy of that moment is the way to connect with God. So if you're having sex with somebody, you might be some creep like narcissist, who's doing it to get control. You might be some insecure person who's doing it to fill an empty bucket. But from a healthier version, because again, there's a good version, a bad version of men and women, from a healthier version, it's the recognition, and as fucked up as it is to say this is as good as it gets. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by this is as good as it gets? A beautiful walk down the beach, wind in your hair, beard in my case, beautiful sunset is as good as it gets. Playing catch with your son or your friend's son or daughter is as good as it gets. A great meal with friends, laughing and enjoying the food together is as good as it gets. Making a plan to go camping is as good as it gets, okay? A beautiful sunrise. We're gonna have to adjust the, this thing here, right? Because the sun's coming up. But, a beautiful, beautiful sunrise is as good as it gets, okay? A beautiful sunrise, just a beautiful, beautiful sunrise is as good as it gets. If I walk out there onto my balcony right now and I look upon the city and I take in the beauty, this beautiful moment of my life, that is as good as it gets. Joyfully dancing with women, joking with them, if you guys are having sex, is as good as it gets. And so the guy who hooks up with like a lot of women, he's the guy who understands that. He's the guy who says, I'm not striving, I have arrived. I'm not striving, I have arrived. I'd probably go one more darker on that, by the way. It's gonna get real bright out. So understand, okay? And so, you'll see a whole bunch of different, opinions about this, right? There's a whole bunch of different opinions about this. There's an argument to be made for the meaninglessness of sex, and those arguments would have a lot of weight. But there's also arguments to be made that sex is the best thing in the entire world, that it is meaningful, that it is spiritual, that it is a recognition of the infinite, that it is a part of letting go, okay? And so when you understand that, and you understand the joy that women are trying to show you, and that you can live within that realm of presence and letting go and joy, when you can live within that reality, and you can live within that reality better than they can, and as a leader within that reality, I think you understand how to walk within that reality better than they can, then what winds up happening is that they look to you as a leader within that reality. And understand, for women, for most women, their emotional state is God. Their emotional state is God. Their emotional state is God. Their emotional state is God, okay? And I would urge you, if you're somebody who doesn't believe in God, or if you're somebody who views things like, whether it's Christianity or whatever, if you view that as like this weird old religion, what I would explain to you is that in the same way that Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson have really good ideas, and I like them, but they're actually masking the core of, for example, conservative philosophy, okay? It winds up becoming this unintended controlled opposition. Understand that most of what it is that you've heard about the Bible or things like that are actually hiding the deeper truths from you, okay? Unless you have spent a long time going into the deeper truths of that, you don't understand it. So when you look at something like, say, Adam and Eve, okay? And Eve goes and bites of the apple, and then Adam, as a result of that, his life changes as well, and they leave the Garden of Eden. That was the very, very first lesson within the Bible. And it's not about women being evil at all, but it is about the fact that we as men, and my friend Casey Zander actually pointed this out to me, we as men have the responsibility to see women, and they've made state their God, and we have to lead them back to God, okay? We have to lead them back to God. But the way that we do that is that we go into their world, okay? We enter into their world, and we become leaders within their world, and then pull them back to God. So this is something that I would urge you to go and learn about for yourself. We're gonna have to keep doing the lighting on that, by the way, because it's gonna get, hey John. Yeah, it's gonna get crazy bright out here. But I would encourage you to learn what that means. Now, when I say their state is God, here's what I mean. Okay, I'm gonna pull away from being abstract and I'm gonna get specific with you. Okay, so look, if you're good at game, you can hook up in a car, you can hook up in an alley, you can hook up behind a Taco Bell, you can hook up in a hotel room where a bunch of your friends are crashed out. I mean, there's a million and one different ways that you can hook up if you're really, really good at game. Okay, you don't need everything to be perfect at all. That's ludicrous. Okay, this is one of the crazy things that we realize. I mean, I remember back when I was learning about this, you'd see guys hooking up in bathrooms and stuff like that, like right at the club. But at the same time, that's if a girl's really, really into you. But let's say, for example, that a girl is not that into you yet, but she is beginning to like you quite a bit. Well, when that is actually the case, like when a girl's kind of like fence sitting, but she's starting to like you, let's say that you bring her back to your house. What you'll notice is that the girl will begin to see every little thing about where you pulled her back to that she doesn't like, okay? She's gonna see every little thing that she doesn't like. So if the temperature's a little bit off, she's out of the pleasure bubble. If you don't have the music playing when you walk in the door, you should have left the music going when you left your house, she comes out of the pleasure bubble. If the lighting is a little bit too fluorescent and gouging and cortisol inducing, she comes out of the pleasure bubble. If she doesn't have what she needs right there, right? Maybe something to drink, maybe some food, she comes out of the pleasure bubble. I mean, if you're really good at this stuff, you've got iPhone chargers and Android chargers sitting right there ready to go so that the pleasure bubble is just right there. And if she enters into that pleasure bubble, and so you're gonna wanna go as dark as you possibly can, by the way, John?
Yeah.
Okay, that's maximum dark?
Best I can do.
Okay, cool. You might wanna turn that off, but I'm not sure. You may wanna turn those off. I don't know if it provides contrast lighting, but you could even play with other settings in there, but we'll go as dark as we can. So yeah, this is kind of like the morning here, guys. But basically what it is, and by the way, I would urge you guys, come out of every single preconception that you have. Come out of every single preconception that you have, because you've got two choices, not three. Here's the choices that, I'm gonna tell you the choice that you think you have, and I'm gonna tell you the choices that you do have. The choice that you think you have is hook up with tons of girls, don't hook up with tons of girls, or choose quality girls. You have two choices. Your choice is to be lied to or not to be lied to. Okay, that's what I would say to you. Okay, I'd like you, and it's time to be honest. It's time to be honest. It's time to be honest. Okay? Be honest. All those different times that you said, I'm looking for a quality girl, that was really just you saying you have no game. That's all that it ever meant. You don't have game, This might help too. Watch this. I'm gonna pull a little sneaky move here. Watch this. How'd that do? A little sneaky move. Clever. So what it ultimately meant, was that you had no game, okay? Because guys that have game realize that girls hook up. So understand that what you do is you want to be signaling that you are somebody who's within the enjoying life paradigm, not the compensation paradigm, okay? So any little bit of outcome dependence that you have, compensation. Approach anxiety, compensation. Needing to add more value in any way, shape, or form, compensation. Needing something to work and not just letting it come to you. While you do have to know how to pull, but there's a certain way of doing it, compensation. Okay? So any thought that you have in your mind of, this isn't good enough, compensation. Any thought that you have of like, I gotta become a high value guy, compensation. It's all compensation. It's all compensation. It's deferring living It's deferring joy. It's deferring presence. It's deferring letting go. And you can either choose to let go now or never. Because what you believe, this is what you honestly believe. You have the wrong belief that when you eventually become a high value guy, you're going to let go. That's actually what you think. And you're not going to. You believe that when you become a high value guy, you're going to let go. You're not going to. I know these high value guys. You're not going to. You're going to have rewired your fucking brain to believe that happiness is found in the future, and that if you just got one more watch, if you just got one more car, if you just got one more house, if you just got one more ab, then you could let go. Then you could enter into that world of girls. Then you could start hooking up with the girls. That's what you're gonna tell yourself, okay? And tomorrow never comes. You'll keep kicking the can down the road again and 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 again. You'll keep kicking the can down the road. One of my friends on the show, The Bachelor, super good looking guy. And when I see him, he's always making excuses like, oh, I ate a bit of carbs last night. You can't see my lower ab. Doesn't want to approach a girl. I've got to do the approaches for him. So it just never fucking comes, okay? So understand that making money or getting in shape are things that you do for yourself. Women like it when you make money if you really did do it for you because it really does bring you joy. But otherwise, when women like that you have money, it is to leech off of you. It is to behave parasitically, and there's not genuine attraction. And guys who understand what it is that we're talking about here will fuck your girl. Okay? If you get your girl using money, guys who understand what it is that we're talking about here will fuck your girl. Your girl will cheat on you. You may know, you may find out, you may never find out. You probably won't. Now, let me also go even a little bit deeper, okay? We'll just move this like that. Let me even go a little bit deeper here for you, okay? Let's see. There we go. So, you've been lied to. You've just been fucking lied to. But it's part of a false narrative, inadvertent, controlled opposition, but it's also part of a spiritual enslavement. That heavy energy that you have when you go to the club is spiritual enslavement. Needing to be more is spiritual enslavement. Now, what I'm talking about here is hard to understand because it sounds like apathetic behavior like a homeless person. Here's the difference. The homeless person isn't thinking much, but they're in a fucking cloud of density. Then the person who's trying to become the higher value guy is thinking. The person who is filled with light isn't thinking, but his mind is filled with presence, joy, and light. That's the difference, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to spend at least 3 days, but if not a month, at least 3 days, but if not a month. And what I want you to do is to live in a state of total fucking joy. Live in a state not that you are thriving, but that you are arriving. And none of this can be things like drugs, alcohol, processed foods, or things that medicate you. Those are things that medicate you. People still do use them to get laid, but I want you to take this to a higher level than that. I want you to see what it feels like to feel real joy, like you've really arrived. Real joy, like you've entered the kingdom of heaven already right now. Real, pure joy. No insecurity at all. No insecurity, no negativity, total joy, enjoying the moment. And what'll happen is you are now treading into the women's world because the woman's state is her God. And what happens, you've now entered into her world and she sees you as a leader within her world. Later, after you've hooked up, if you want to have a family with her, you can lead her back to God and show her that her state is not everything. but you will have shown authority within her world. Just like there's many, many things that I want to show you. You think you're better than her? I can point out a million flaws in you. Don't judge the chip in your brother's eye when you have a plank in your own eye. Hypocrite. So there's many, many different places that I connect. Like, there's a lot of shit about you personally that I think is fucking stupid. But I take the time to become an authority in your world because I have bigger and better things that I want to show you. But I don't come to you with some fucked up abstraction that you don't understand, that you don't relate to, that you don't currently have a capacity to relate to, and then shame you about it and make you feel stupid about it. I meet you where you're at. I show you that there's a cool way to do the things that you're already doing. I show you that there's a cool way to exist in the paradigms that you're already existing in. And then I say, look, if you like this, there's an even better paradigm over here. But I don't just condescend you and throw abstractions at you that make no sense, that are not resonant. If you go to a girl and you say, no, state should stop being your god, shame, 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 nya, 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 she only interprets you as a beta male trying to contain her by using shame. That's it. She will lie to you profusely. She will put on a mask. The mask will be a mask of pathological lying. And she will believe what she's saying. She will look at you and she will tell you everything you want to hear. Her behavior will not actually align to that, but you will believe that it is true. Because you have to understand, there is people that are within the happy world and people that are outside the happy world. There's two different realities. She walks in two different realities. There's the fun world where everyone has fun and everyone fucks. And then there's the sad world with a bunch of compensating beta males that try to shame them because they exist in the good world. That's how you have to think about it. So imagine it like there's this big apartment building, okay? And then at the top of the apartment building is like this happy world. And then there's all these little worker bees that are underneath. But if the worker bees hear about the happy world at the top, they get angry. So occasionally you need to go down to get some groceries. So you go to get some groceries, they're like, there's not some happy world, is there? And then you're like, oh, no, there's no happy world. Don't worry. And you spent your entire life dealing with this and kind of walking in these two different worlds, that what you've done is you've actually partitioned that part of your brain so that another part of your brain activates when you go see all the little peons that are building the world, and then a different part of your brain comes out in the happy world. So understand, if you're getting the kind of response that you're getting, like, oh, I'm a good girl, I would never do that, I wouldn't hook up with Drake, blah, 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 blah. You're getting a partitioned part of her brain. It is a pathological lie in most cases. She doesn't know that she's lying. She's not doing it with intention. It is very, very, very fucking convincing. And it's so convincing that you will give her half your shit in order to be lied to. And you'll do it because you are a drug addict who wants to stay within that world of not being joyful, not being present, and not letting go. You will lie to yourself. You will live within a fucking lie. And you will watch podcasts that hammer that lie. And you will do it again and again and again and again to avoid having joy, to avoid letting go, to avoid being present, and to avoid actually living life. Your life could start today. Your life could start in the next 1 minute. It's called the power of now for a fucking reason. When does the now start, guys? When does the now start? Now. It starts right fucking now. Right fucking now. But you can say this to yourself, oh, no, I have to become the high-value guy. I have to be a provider, blah, 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 blah. No. Now, look, I have a bit of a problem with this because I genuinely believe that the world would be better without casual sex or minimal amounts. I think that it leads people astray. I think that it causes problems. I'm not a fan. But when I got into this, when I was young, and I'm sitting there as a fucking virgin, and I'm trying to find another virgin to get married to, and I'm realizing that A, I'm probably never going to find one. B, I'm probably never going to find any girl to marry me. And C, even if I ever did, I would be getting de-virginized on my wedding night. And then I realized that this whole thing about men and sex and virgins and marriage was a bunch of shit created by men. Men are the ones who want virgins. Men are the ones that are uptight about sex. Men are the ones that tend to be more in scarcity. Men are the ones that tend to be more romantic. Look, if you want to see how does Drake act towards sex, because he can get a lot of it, none of it's a big deal. He's not looking to be with any one person. The average woman is now a mini version of Drake, And she has very, very little concept of time. And the fact that later there might not be a man to provision for whatever children she gets, she doesn't care because she's not thinking that far ahead. And even if she did, she knows there's some guy there who's going to grab her and who's going to snatch her up and marry her. She knows that. And this whole thing about on different podcasts, like, there's going to be no one there to marry you at the end. Wrong. There's going to be a dentist from Orange County, and he's going to be very, very happy to have her. And he probably makes about $200,000 to $600,000 a year. She's not going to marry Drake, but she's going to get the $300K a year dentist. She's going to be just fine. And that guy's going to raise somebody else's kids, or at least she has been hooking up with dudes for the last 15, 20 years. And then he'll just grab her up at the end. And it just is what it is. It just is what it frickin' is. That's how it fucking works, okay? So coming from this standpoint, what is it that I would say from there to understand? I personally had an internal dilemma with this stuff because what I was seeing was so shocking and so different from what it was that I was being taught that I felt an obligation to show this to guys. That was my big thing. I felt an obligation to show this to guys. So you have to understand that every part of my soul hears a guy like Jordan Peterson or even my friend Elliot Hulse, and they say, go find a girl to marry. I was just at Turning Point USA, great conservative conference. They say, go find a girl to get married. Every part of my soul loves that and resonates with that. But the challenge is they haven't seen what I've seen. So while I spiritually align with them and I intellectually align with them, and I love a lot of these people, Elliot particularly, I've just seen certain things that they haven't seen. And so I have to choose, do I just kind of want to go into the group think that they're offering me, or do I have to share what it is that I'm personally seeing? And I've never seen any of them say, hey, Owen, it sounds like there's something that you're seeing here. Let me come spend a month with you, and could you show me what it is that you're seeing personally? Because I'm actually capable of that. I'm actually capable of showing any of this within 15, 20 minutes in person. But there's piles upon piles upon piles of excuses around it. Low quality girls, slutty girls, low self-esteem, not having seen what I've seen over 22 years. Okay? So it's walls upon walls of cognitive dissonance around this kind of information. And it's just one of those things that's just not going to be well understood. So what I would say to you is you've got to get to a point where you understand what attraction actually is. You understand what it means when a girl lights up when you're talking to her, and you know how to create that kind of attraction. Like you just get it, okay? You just get it. And what I'd say to you is learn to shift to that other world. But as you're shifting to that other world, here is the single biggest scam of pickup. The single biggest scam of pickup is that it works so fucking well that you're gonna wind up broke. The single biggest scam of pickup is that it works so fucking well, you're gonna wind up with a fucking drug problem because you go into that same pleasure bubble mentality and you wind up getting addicted to drugs because you don't give a fuck. The single biggest problem with pickup, the single biggest scam of pickup is that you'll wind up in such a honey trap of nonstop sex that you don't make your contribution to the world. The single biggest scam of pickup is that you wind up getting laid so much that you start to question, what is this even doing for society? That's the scam of pickup that nobody's going to tell you, okay? PUA didn't go away because it was fairly shoved out of the marketplace. It went away because it was unfair, because people were unwilling to debate the ideas. And so rather than debating the ideas flat out, they got rid of it. That's it. That's why what happened. But it was a debate that no one else could have won if the ideas were able to be debated fairly. That is why things like a First Amendment exist, because it's understood that when you shut people up, knowledge is shoved away. And so now as a result of this, because people don't get this, you will see millions of views of different videos talking about a flawed paradigm. And there'll be a lot of good stuff in those videos too. Nothing's all wrong or all right. My stuff's not all right. I don't know where I'm missing. I've looked for every part I'm missing, but it's never going to be all right because nobody's stuff is 100% right. But what you're going to watch because of that is thousands of hours of debates over things that don't even exist. It's like some weird faux debate about things that aren't even real. Just piles upon piles of conversations. Do you realize that for every one guy that ever actually went out and tried this content, there was probably a ratio of about 5,000 to 1 of people who had problems, people who bash on it on channels complaining about it, or people who do like troll channels, or people that are like have a very specific political agenda, or people who have a media agenda, or people who are haters, or people who want to say that it doesn't work. Like they in their minds think that they like to envision this reality in their mind that there's like all these guys doing pickup everywhere that are mindless, like these mindless guys doing pickup, and that they're the unique rebels that are speaking up and showing that it's not the good shit. When in reality, for every one guy that actually went out and tried this content, there was thousands that would talk shit. Thousands that would talk shit. Think about that for a minute. That's fucking insane. That is fucking crazy to think about that. But they did it because it's a wall of spiritual fucking enslavement. And what I'm explaining to you here, what you saw from RSD over the years, there was messages in there that were deeper than you even understand. When you saw what happened in 2014 and all the media stuff, and then what you saw now with an unwitting false version of men's dating that's emerged, you're seeing, if you were here for this journey, you got to see how real information gets suppressed. And then even with me saying this, they'll warp that around and go, look at this. He was an asshole, but then he claims it's suppressed. Do you see where this is going? You see how all this works, right? It's lies upon lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. Everywhere that you look, mist, shadows, false gods, it's fucking everywhere. It's fucking everywhere, okay? You could start loving life and enjoying life right fucking now. Now, here's the other thing that I want to explain to you about dating that I want you to understand, okay? And a couple things about this, okay? I turned this little sign sideways, but if you give me the full screen here, this little sign that I had right here, I want you to have a look at it. This right here, owenslastgameprogram.com. You see that? Make sure that you get inside there, okay? I'm going to be pulling down this video, this live broadcast. I'm going to be pulling down all the other live broadcasts on this topic soon, and I'll be pulling down the last game program, okay? So make sure that you get inside there. If you like the hot seat infield footage, make sure that you get inside of here, okay? Likewise, I'm going to be doing a podcast later in the year. This will be the last year that I do hardcore touring. Selfhelpfreetour.com. Vegas, Phoenix, San Diego, San Francisco are the upcoming dates. Fly in for one of these. They're fucking amazing. We can talk about things that we're not going to be sharing online. Make sure that you get in here. The other cities that I'll be doing will be Orlando, Miami, LA, Seattle, Portland, Hawaii, Atlanta, Charlotte, Nashville, New York, DC, Boston, Philly. I'll be doing a bunch of them, okay? Miami, if I think I said that. Okay, I'll be doing a bunch, and then I'm stopping. So make sure that you fly it and do a proper free event with me, because I have a torn left ACL, and I'm going to be doing rehab for about a year in my garage. I have a gym in my garage. So what I want to do is I'll stay here and do a podcast, and I'm not going to travel. So make sure that you get into the free event, okay? Selfhelpfreetour.com. Make sure that you get to it while I'm still running these on my friggin' stupid ass torn ACL. Likewise, Owen's last game program. If you want to see infield footage of what I'm talking about, get fucking inside here. We're pulling this, okay? We are pulling this. So get inside, because I'm gonna get flooded with guys going, holy shit, you really did pull it, because with hot seat, sometimes I'd pull it and then I bring it back. I can't do that this time, guys. Okay, I can't do that this time. So I need you guys to get in here, okay? Now I'm gonna keep going here. What I want you to understand, okay, go click into this right now while you hear me talk, okay? Now, what you have to understand was that in the process, okay, we can zoom in on me now again because we're good to go. So in the process of what it was that you just saw, okay, what you just saw me do, or what you saw in my company, I want you to consider what other information has been taken from you. So you saw that up close. And the basic process that you saw was you had free speech, then you had incredible information coming out and gathering momentum. We never even hit our prime. Imagine if we'd fully hit our prime, okay? That was building and building. Like, imagine what we could have done if, look, in an alternate world, where instead of people would be like, oh, fuck these guys, what about in an alternate world where, Harvard or Yale or whoever said, show us this stuff, Like, we want to know what's in space. We want to know what's at the bottom of the sea, but we don't want to understand human mating? Really? Like, we want to know about some weird plankton. We want to know about some weird insect in Brazil, as we should. But we don't want to do a real study of mating and take that seriously? Okay, maybe you thought that I was an asshole or something like that. Well, then just call me up and let me know that you think I'm a bit of an asshole. Show me how to improve, and let's get started getting to fucking work. Every single person says some stupid things, makes bad jokes, says things that they'd take back, and makes mistakes that they've learned from and change. I'm the easiest person in the world to reach out to and to say, yo, I don't like what you're doing. Could you think about this for a minute, and could you make a change? I'm the easiest person in the world to do that with. Anybody that ever had a problem with me over the years could have called me up and said, hey, I'd like to learn more. Hey, I'm a professional, so I'd like, I'm like not just some random guy on the street, but I'm someone who's like actually professional, and I just want a little bit of your time to talk to you about what it is that you're doing, how to improve it, or to maybe study it or things like that. I was always available. I'm the most accessible person in the world. I'm not just hiding in seminars and then running back to my basement. I'm out in public almost every day. I'm just the easiest person to meet up with that you could ever see in your entire life. So why didn't we want to really, really study this? That's fucking crazy. And so what that did for me was it alerted me and it made me realize that there was so much more information out there that we weren't seeing. Because when I saw how beautiful the information that we had was, I realized how much other information was being suppressed. And all the while I'm conflicted because I'm like, I really do just want people to, again, I have some problems with marriage now, including especially if it's not prenup, but like, I love the idea of marriage. I don't think people should be having a ton of casual sex, but I'm just realizing like, this is what it is. We're living within a structure that men have built to delude themselves. And so guys have to at least understand this. If you want to get a wife and kids, you have to at least understand this. Or what you can do is you can solve the problem by being like an 8, 9, or 10 in status and being with someone who's like a 6 or 5 in status, right? And a lot of these very conservative guys, that's what they do. Like they themselves are these like epic famous leaders. And so they're like a 10 in terms of their sexual market value. And then they're married with somebody who's about a 5 or 6 in sexual market value. And then they shame you. And then they say, look how loyal my wife is. Well, is that really so you solve the problem at that level, right? Like for example, if I want to have, and I don't think your wife's your employee, but as an analogy, if we can be mature about it, if I have an employee and I find some employee and then I pay them $1 million a year, and there's somebody who would typically make 50 grand, and then I go, look how great my employee treats me. That's what you should do. That's how you solve for this problem? I mean, as a man, is there not some kind of an interesting pursuit in either A, meeting someone on your level, or B, maybe learning to understand sexual dynamics so that you can meet someone above your level? Isn't that a worthy pursuit? And are we going to say that that pursuit is so much lower or shittier than other pursuits? Why can't we just acknowledge that as a pursuit? Why do we have to be like degenerate and just like just so much bullshit, waves of bullshit around this basic knowledge? So what I'd say to you is realize the extent to which the knowledge has been suppressed from you, and realize that there's so much more knowledge that people don't understand. The biggest one, by the way, being the Bible, in my view, has been so shrouded with fucking clowns, with that incredible, incredible book, that you don't want to read it because you're like, I don't want to become like them. And you're reading it so like people sit there having these stupid ass debates like, was Noah's Ark real? Who gives a shit? Read the fucking book. Do you make Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior? It's like, do you? You don't look very connected, so why are you even talking about this? So it's like these stupid ass debates that that provide a distraction from actually understanding what's fucking in there. And in the same way in politics, clean your room or how many genders are there, prevent you from seeing what the fuck is going on. You just got locked down. Why? Do you know why you got locked down? If you don't, then how is hearing about genders going to help that? So, people get locked down, put on house arrest, and then they forget about it within 6 months. What's happening here? Wake up. So what I'd say to you is, what is this place? Who are you? And what are you beyond? And what you really need to do is you need to start digging deeper for the best information that you can find. Dig deeper. Okay, when I created this information, I traveled around the world meeting with people, obsessively trying to figure out this information. Then what I did was I built a whole machine to just get it out there, usually at great financial loss to myself, just to get it out there as best I could and make it fun and try to make a movement out of it. That was the responsibility that I felt. But what I'd also say to you is that that's left me with greater responsibilities. And so what I have to figure out now is with the other things that I figured out through this process, what the fuck am I going to do with that? And so I have a great future ahead of me of a greater mountain to climb. And this mountain is thousands of times harder to climb and higher than what I've done in the past. And I'm probably not going to make it, if I'm being honest with you. But I'm going to try, just like I tried with this, okay? I didn't sit there, with my hands in my fucking pockets. When I saw this stuff, I didn't just sit there and say, okay, I found this out. I'm going to just accept that I found this out and it's just for me, right? If I find something out, I want to share it. I don't want to get it out there, even if it's at great stress to myself. So in the same way, what I'd say to you is, in this larger kind of cosmic battle between good and evil, where do you stand in that? And what are you willing to sacrifice in order to learn the truth, and then in order to try to share that truth and to help illuminate your fellow human beings? And that doesn't mean that I was right about everything, and that doesn't mean that you're right about everything. I actually spent years trying to poke holes in everything that it was that I learned, and bringing in people to show me where I'm wrong, and looking up other influencers and teachers who have the opposite opinion of me and actually studying them as hard, if not harder, than people who agree with me. So what I'd say to you is I'd really, really urge you to find the deeper truths of life and to go out there and to apply them, okay? But in the meantime, what I would say to you is this, okay? I'm leaving you with this. You're going to watch as the best information is thrown into an abyss, and you're going to watch as levels of good information, but ultimately information that shrouds you from what actually works, becomes dominant. And at the end of the day, we don't get the society we want. We get the society that we fucking deserve. And if you're somebody who during lockdown just sat there and were passive, and if you're somebody who doesn't fight for a better world, then you will be stuck in the prison that's all around you like a fish in a fucking fishbowl, not even aware that you're in it. I will do everything that I can. I will do everything I fucking can for you. But you have to also be willing to make that commitment as well. Now, where do you start? A great place to start if you're younger is dig up some of my old stuff and go start applying it. Get out there, apply it, use it. Do your best. And when you start seeing the results of that and you start going, holy shit, there's a whole other world out there that I didn't understand. Holy fuck, this is so easy. It's this easy. And then you start seeing all these other fucking poor bastard peons running around with their heads, like chicken with their head cut off, trying to become, whether it's the high value guy or whatever that paradigm is of deferring joy, deferring being present, deferring letting go, and not just getting results now. And what you're going to see is, holy fucking shit, the world's fucking insane. The world is fucking insane. And it's about holding you in a fucking pain body. It's about holding you in a limited paradigm. And it's about imprisoning your fucking soul. So when you go out, okay, and you apply what it is that I've been showing you right here in this live, and what it is that I've been showing you over many years, and you enter into a state of presence and joy and letting go, and you see the way that the world works, and you realize that you're getting results at 100x higher than anybody who you know. When you see that, then what you'll realize is that the world is a much bigger and more magical place than you ever realized. Okay? And while we talked a lot about letting go in this video, remember what I've always said, intent plus freedom from outcome. Don't just paddle in the boat, use the rudder, but throw up the fucking sail. You still have a responsibility for control. You got to set up your house right if you want to be real, real good at this. You want to find out where the venues are. You want to learn certain mechanics of things. You want to have a general game plan. But the deeper layer of this is understanding how to go within the world that the woman is in, realize the beauty of that, become the leader within that world, and thrive. And then from there, if you want to actually lead a girl out of it, you can. But she is deeply, deeply, deeply within that world. Understand the extent to which you're being lied to, and understand the extent to which what you're encountering is really a huge amount of cognitive dissonance in the girl's mind, a huge amount of compartmentalization in the girl's mind, a huge amount of false personas that she's putting on, and she's scanning you and, kind of figuring out, she's scanning you and she's figuring out how it is, to tell you what it is that you want to hear. And over time, realizing just how much it is that you're being told what it is that you want to hear, okay? And so, largely, what guys are being told is loads of bullshit. They're being told what they want to hear. And almost everybody around you is just telling you what it is that you want to hear. And at a certain point, you've got to say, well, is there something beyond this, okay? Now, the last thing that I'll probably leave with, I might leave with you a few more things, but this is another key piece. If you study things like borderline personality disorder or NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, you'll see things where, if you study this deeply, you can look up Sam Vaknin, by the way, Sam Vaknin. And if you look at, and who hates life coaches, by the way, he only likes academic work. So if you look at his work, what he basically explains is that when somebody has been addicted on narcissistic supply, there's no core self that's there, and they shape and morph in order to simply secure more narcissistic supply. In the case of somebody who has borderline personality disorder, they shape and morph and create entire false personas in order to get emotional regulation and actually to utilize you as a functioning ego. These are cluster B pathologies. Understand that a girl with state is not necessarily that different. Okay, so her mind has been in effect captured with state as her god, and she will alter her personality for whether you call it hypergamy, whether you call it emotional state, whatever you want to call it, right? But she will alter, okay? And so you might have had it where you had a girlfriend, and then when you broke up, if you later talked to each other, she was like a completely different person. Different sets of values, different sets of beliefs. But also, there's an extent to which you have been excommunicated, okay? So have you ever heard of this thing with girls called the ick? They say, I got the ick. I got the ick basically means I got a sign that you need to be excommunicated. You're not in the happy person world. You're not in the happy person world. The world of just like sex and joy and things being easy. You're one of the little peons who's meant to be under the building, building the building. You're not meant to be up here reproducing. That's really what they're saying. Like, wait, what are you doing up here? You're not a reproducer. You snuck up here somehow. You got to go back down there. Okay? So any amount of having an outcome dependence, being too logical, needing to compensate, having approach anxiety, not just being in the moment. Remember, state is their god. You're kicked out. But when you create that pleasure bubble in that environment, they get hooked on that like it's crack cocaine, okay? And if you look at the book of Exodus, the whole idea of the golden calf is that people worship a golden calf. And when you don't have God in your life, you're living in hell on earth. Well, why do you live in hell on earth when you don't have God in your life? Because something else becomes your God. Something else fulfills that role. And so if women get to that point where state becomes their God, what's going to happen is they get a lot of good stuff from that, but they also get a lot of bad stuff from it. So you enter into that world, just like how Adam left the Garden of Eden and comes into regular life, but to lead his woman back to heaven, okay? And so there's great, great, powerful, ancient truths in there that are hidden that you have to dig a little bit more deeply to see that are going on, okay? And so what we're going to see in the future is we're going to have two different choices that it is that we're going to have to make. So do we want to fix, because there's a huge dating issue, which I've been predicting since 2017. So are we going to fix this dating issue by using shame, right? Is that how we fix the dating issue? Or, and here's another thing, do we fix the dating issue by teaching guys the kind of stuff that it is that I'm showing you here? And that doesn't mean for every guy to just go party, 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 or not to have a higher aspiration. But what it means is there's levels at which we can actually fix this. I don't think we can put the genie back in the bottle, guys. Now, I want you to look at what happened. You have some people who want more population. You have some factions who want depopulation. 2014 hits. We get hit. You saw what happened to us in 2014. Fast forward a decade, population's going down, people aren't having sex. What's happening? So I want you to think about, okay, what I just said there, I just dropped a bomb on you. You need to understand this, okay? You'll hear this, you'll go, okay? I have friends in the White House. I have friends everywhere. I know exactly what's happening, and I've known exactly what's happening for a while. Wake the fuck up, okay? So the question is, do we fix this? Which the answer to this part is no, but could this be fixed by shaming and saying, you're a hoe, you're a hoe, you're a hoe. Go fuck a beta male. That's over, guys. That's over. Bumble, Tinder, all that, it's over, guys. You're never gonna have that again. The only way to fix this is to take the kind of things that we taught in the OG content. And that doesn't mean like mass approaching and all that kind of stuff, but it means teaching guys how to access that state where women are fucking into them and teaching that to every guy on the fucking planet. Some guys will take to it better than others, some won't. That's probably not gonna happen in my lifetime, okay? But there's gonna be people who look back on this content who understand that it doesn't mean you have to go to a whole bunch of approaches, but there's ways of teaching the general content that you would have seen in like Blueprint Decoded, in the OG content, that you could teach at a high level. How do I know this? My kids are in state all the time. My kids are able to run entire seminars without me ever having coached them. My kids are always happy. You can teach this to kids from a young age. And so you're gonna have to start seeing this being taught from a young age and teaching young men and young boys how to access who they really are, how to get them out of the slave mentality, and how to teach them to ground themselves in that state of joy that we talked about, but then how to act from that as a foundation. And what that means is get in touch with your real purpose here on earth and with what it is that you're truly passionate about and what really gives you joy, and actually creating a new earth and creating a human awakening project and allowing people to get in touch with who they really are, what they're really here to do, and not just to be in compensation. And as men like that walk around, you're not gonna have as much problem with what you're seeing now where shit's just getting out of control. So in that Nala Fitness video that you saw, you remembered me mentioning that women, they're getting all crazy because of the fucking men. And so a bunch of beta males that are not in state can sit there and go, fuck a beta Nala, fuck a beta Nala, and they can do that all day long. It's not going to fix the issue. It's at least informing guys not to involve themselves in bad deals and bad marriages, but it's not going to fix the fucking issue. It's just not. You're not gonna see it get fixed. So what I will try to spend my life doing, if I'm blessed to be here, and I could be killed, but I will, try my best, because never guarantee how long you're gonna live, but I will do my best to get that information out there, okay? And so what I've done is I've tried to be of service as best as I can. I've given my best effort, okay? I've done what I can. I've studied this stuff for 2 decades. I know the deal. I know how it works. I've poked holes in my ideas. I've brought in other people to show me what I'm missing. I've looked at everything out there, okay? And so I've tried to get you the best information that I can. If you want to get that information, www.owenslastgameprogram.com. I'd recommend that you hop in there. But also this year, make sure that I've got a torn ACL and I can't just run around the country doing free tours forever, okay? So I have free tours this year. Vegas, Phoenix, San Diego, San Francisco. That's going to be, that will be this week. And then I have a bunch of other ones all over the country this year. Whether you're in Europe, Australia, fly in for one of them, okay? I'd recommend that you pick a 3-day or 2-day one to fly in for. Some that I do in Dallas and Houston, they're like quick stop off. San Diego, quick stop off. But some of the ones that I do in New York, Miami, LA, those are 3 full days. And this kind of event you'd normally pay like 5, 10K for. So make sure that you fly in for a free event while I'm doing it this year. Just go get that done. Make sure that you jump into owenslastgameprogram.com. Look, anytime that I offer you a program, the information in it is fucking legit. I've given you the best effort that I fucking have. So support that, okay? So hop in there and support yourself. and give yourself that gift. It's going to change your fucking life. Now, concluding, and then I'm going to go to bed in a sec. I'm actually about to head over to Vegas tomorrow, okay? So, oh, by the way, I'm going to answer a quick question here, and because I thought it was funny. Owen, dude, you attribute way too much gravitas to feral little gremlins like Nala. She doesn't matter, bro. She's nothing. You're not getting it. It's a sign of the times, guys. It's a sign of the times. You're not, if a girl's getting, if a girl is a feral little gremlin, it's because men are fucking pussies and they go fucking crazy. Have you ever had a girlfriend who loved you to death? You became a beta male and she went fucking nuts. That is the default. But because almost all guys are fucking betas now, women are going fucking nuts. So the answer to this is not going to be shaming them going, fuck a beta. That ended. The internet's here, guys. That's over. It's over. That's not going to work. You're not going to bring that back. It's done. Talking about body count, all that stuff, won't bring it back. Guys who know game will continue to, with discretion, hook up with these girls left and right. That's done. The only actual safeguard is to learn that the kind of general content that I've taught over the years. Won't be me that teaches it, but it's to learn that general kind of content that you learned over the years. And not by being a king of the beta, high value man, but about being someone who actually understands how to provoke emotion, okay? And what I would say to you is that understand that what you're dealing with is not what you think it's dealing with. It's not what you think that you're dealing with, okay? When somebody has fully given themselves over to something, their personality will morph and shift. It's like mist, it's a vapor. And so when you're dealing with somebody, their personality morphs and shifts, their beliefs morph and shift. So when you understand that if somebody who's made state their God or made hypergamy their God, and then you're optimized for that, the kind of response that you get is insane. And that's the kind of message that I'm here to leave you with, is that should show you something, that should show you certain things that are disturbing. Like when you see it, it's just fucking crazy and it's kind of fucked up. But it also shows you certain things that are beautiful because it shows you how women can reveal to you your infinite nature, like what it was that we talked about before. It can actually show you how to get present and to let go. And ultimately, what it can show you is the kind of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful information that's been suppressed, okay? And to realize that there's other information out there and that you've got to dig deeper. Last thing that I'll leave you with here is this. I've really, really enjoyed interacting with women over the years because it was through women that I learned how to actually enjoy life. Because women punish you for when you're being uptight and compensating, and they reward you profusely when you just let go. So learn that skill of actually letting go. Walk through life in total joy. Walk through life in total ease. Walk through life celebrating. Walk through life having fun. Walk through life like it's a fucking victory lap. Stop waiting. Stop compensating. Stop saying that you're not good enough. Stop thinking that if you reach a certain benchmark, that at that point, somehow you're going to be ready to let go. Let go now. Like in the movie Fight Club, when he just lets go of the steering wheel. Letting go is not a weekend seminar, guys, although I made it one. Letting go is a way of life. Just let go. And go and start enjoying sex today. Enjoy sex now. Enjoy women now. Enjoy being happy now. Now. It's called the power of now for a reason. Now. And what you're going to see is your results, you have no idea how good they could fucking get. If you want to learn more from me, I'll show you this anytime that you want. I'll take you out in the field. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. Okay, I'm on RC Tyler on Instagram. Shoot me, if you're fucking serious, shoot me a DM and say, I want to hit the fucking field. I want to take a real training. And I'll take you out in the motherfucking field. Okay? And I'll show you how this shit is done. Okay? If you're serious about it, I'll give you a call, and we'll get this shit set the fuck up, and it's going to be fucking awesome. Okay? And then likewise, make sure that you get inside Owen's Last Game program. I'm about to pull this down. This one right here, John. There you go, buddy. Hey, John.
Hey, yeah.
There you go. But also the sign. It's like really late here, guys. He's got it. Boom. Make sure you get in there. And www.selfhelpfreetour.com. Make sure that you get onto an in-person free event this year as well. Okay? So if you want to learn more, those are the paths. In the future, dig up my old videos on this stuff. A lot of great information in there. Guys, I've given you everything I have to give. And I've got a lot more to give in the future. And I think you'll be quite impressed and quite surprised. And pretty mind blown by the future that we have coming, which I've been working on for 4 years, since 2020. I have a lot of projects that I've been working on. I have so much prepared. So it's going to be a big deal. What's coming in the future? If God is willing for me to be alive to give that to you, we'll see what happens. Love you very much. I've enjoyed this journey with you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.